It feels like it has been ages, but we are finally back. Yeah,
We are.
what's up?
I saw recently someone mentioned that 90% of the podcast die before the 10th episode. And I was like, this will not be the one.
What's that? Wait, let me get the microphone closer. Was that Naval that said that?
Naval might have mentioned it for sure. I'm not sure who was it, but there was a big talk about the media and about the value of the media recently with TBPN's acquisition, and
Okay.
these boys are now drowning in cash money. So good for them. Congratulations. I was not expecting them to. Do you remember the first time you came across them?
Yeah, no, not really. I just immediately was a fan. I don't have a memory of the first time that I saw them. I used to watch John on his YouTube channel,
That's
like in
crazy.
COVID.
That you knew John before TBPN. That's
Yeah,
insane.
yeah, yeah. And then when I saw this, I was like, oh, this is very interesting. And then like I was hooked, I think, very quickly. But I don't remember the day that I saw the first time. I don't. I mean, they haven't been doing it for a long time. They haven't been doing it for more than like a year and a half, which is crazy to think about. But they are certainly very good at what they do. They the very interesting thing is the moment they got acquired, they dropped all the ads. They're not promoting anyone right now.
Why?
And
Why you think that's
people,
the case? Why?
I will get to that. I'll get to that.
Okay.
People have commented and say we missed the ads. And I have to say, I missed the ads too, because their ads were so effortless. They were so artistic, they were like
It
dropping
was
them
part
at
of the
very good
show.
time.
It was part of the
Exactly.
show. It was
It
part of.
was like this shameless plug that like it's the I think it's one of the very few ads that like were not annoying. I enjoyed their ads. Um, Now, why did they drop them? They were they were collecting a lot of money from a lot of companies to do the shameless plugging, and then OpenAI came and said, "I'll give you all the money that you're taking, plus more, and you're not going to promote anyone. And slowly, slowly, we're going to work together, and you're only going to promote OpenAI specific things." They haven't done that yet, and they do say that like they're gonna keep full control of what they are saying, but like they didn't just sponsor them; they bought them. And you know what happens when the board at the company decides what we do in the next episode. It's not up for debate. It gets done. And so if OpenAI wants to promote their next app, like OpenAI recently killed Sora, maybe in 2 years' time, there's a different format. It's not the way they thought it was going to be. It's going to be a little bit different. TBPN is going to be there to promote it. That's literally their purpose, right?
Definitely keep the competitors away. So you cannot have Anthropic now going to the show and saying, okay, we need to promote this or that.
It's that, and it wasn't just Anthropic that was a competitor with them. It was also like Google Gemini was advertising with uh, OpenAI, and OpenAI has some very direct competitors, but they also have indirect competitors, right? Like they have people that are competing with them on a very specific feature that they have, like custom GPTs or the Chat GPT marketplace app store that they have. There are companies that only specialize in this specific thing, and TBPN reach was very, very good.
How have you been the past month?
Oh gosh, how have I been the past month? I've definitely been adventurous and very nomadic, and on way too many flights, I would say. Um, the past month, I was in Austin. We were together, and then You went to Brazil. I spent a few more days in Austin, and then we went to New York. I spent a week in New York, which was really, really nice. I spent some time, or we spent some time together with a couple of friend of mine that had a 1-year-old daughter. And it was very interesting to see my friend as a father, his wife as well, but like I knew him a little bit better. And to see how he's changed from like the bro that I knew him as to now he's a responsible adult with like proper responsibilities, and also like how he cares for his daughter. That was a very interesting thing for me to watch.
How does one change? What, give me an example of one thing you saw and you said to yourself, this wouldn't be something he would do before.
I don't know if it's just one like specific thing that he would or he wouldn't do, but like the whole demeanor changes, like the whole way that he carries himself. Like now he's like, there's no time to be wasted. Now it's like, all right, now I go to work, I come back, I study. He's like studying because he's also doing a university degree. He's like studying, and his daughter is in his laps as he's like trying to read through Google Docs. She's like smashing the half of the keyboard that isn't the laptop that isn't the keyboard. So she's smashing the first half of the laptop, and he's like typing on the keyboard. And I am like, I guess this is not just like a 2-hour thing. He has to live like that, and he's like, learning how to live like that. In her defense, the little baby, she was the chillest little baby I'd ever met in my life. She cried like never. She was never crying. She was never annoyed at anything. She was very chill, and so that was really, really cool. But yeah, like I think he's shaped his whole entire life, both him and his partner, his wife. They shaped their entire life around having the baby. And I thought that when you become a parent, you have these things that you do, and then maybe you'll get some help, or maybe there's things that you can't do anymore. But with these guys, they've somehow managed to do the things that they'd like to do and include the baby with them. And one of those things was they were practicing for a dance performance, and they were taking the baby to watch them as they were like both of them doing the dance performance. And then it's just one of those things that I would think that once you have a 1-year-old, you just don't do things like that. You say, no, we sit at home and we take care of the 1-year-old. But these guys were definitely adventurous, and I really like that. I thought that was a nice way to raise a child. So that was a really good time in New York.
Reminds me of how much time I have in my hands right now to explore the things that I'm interested in, and how much I will miss that when I don't have it.
Yeah, yeah. But it also, for me, it also taught me that like having a kid doesn't mean that I don't get to do the things that I want and like to do. It's just that there's going to be another little person there to witness them. And then part of why their daughter was so chill is because she was used to the outside world so much. Like we went into this when they were rehearsing for their dance performance. They did a big like concert party type thing, and there was maybe like more than 1,000 people, and the baby was like fine with that, and they were all cheering and clapping. Maybe she was a little bit nervous when everybody was like doing the claps and the cheers and all that stuff, but I wouldn't have ever thought that the baby would put up with being in a room like that. It was just way too chaotic. But it was, yeah, it's definitely a nice way to introduce your kid to the world, to take your kid with you to what you're doing, which is really, really. And one other thing that I noticed is that it brings them out of the online world into the real world, because they have to take the baby for walks in the park. They have to go do groceries. They have to do all these things that, I don't know, I feel like because you don't have to do them, you don't do them. It's kind of like people that get a pet or get a dog, and then they realize that their life quality is getting better, even though they have to do a lot more. And it's simply because they have to go out twice a day to the park to walk their dog, and then they realize that that is more beneficial to them than it is to the dog.
It kind of forces you to go out, and I can see myself how when this happens, it just changes my mood constantly and immediately.
There's a term for it. I don't remember, but there's a term for it. Maybe people can leave it in the comments. for when you stay at home too much, you get this like type of sickness from staying inside too much. And I think that in our days now with the internet, this is very, very common.
Many people are suffering from this today's age, for sure.
And you don't have to like stay inside for really long to get that. You can get that from just like not leaving your house for 2 days, which I am very happens to me very often. Like there's many times that I don't
Remind
leave home.
yourself, how do you feel when you go out and walk in the nature and do like a hike or a trip like that? How different does it feel from the everyday, and
Yeah,
how much good emotions and feelings it brings to you and reminds you
yeah,
that you should do this more often, and then you're back to work and you just kind of forget, kind of, snap out of it.
yeah. This is like the whole trend of touching grass. Like it literally is. It puts things in perspective. I mean, I can't complain. I was touching grass last weekend. I was out in the forest, off grid. There was a little bit of internet at the cabin. There was Starlink at the cabin, but like going out, going around. Oh, when the battery ran out because it was off grid, so it was solar powered, and we had a cloudy day. The battery ran out. Starlink stopped working. I don't know how. I think
Starlink
the
was
router
your
died.
friend's Starlink or was provided by
No,
the.
it was the Airbnb guy had like a stationary Starlink type thing.
And you were guys working there?
Were we working from there?
You
No,
were
it was
working.
I just joined that one meeting, but I wouldn't call it working. I arrived on Friday afternoon. I hopped on that one call, but then I logged off and was off for the next 2 days. So I wouldn't call that working. I've got some stuff for us to go over. There's a lot of stuff that happened in tech since we last did an episode. But is there anything you want to say about what have you been up to before we jump into online madness?
Yeah, sure. Online madness. I've been on a trip to Brazil for 3 weeks, which you can find. Well, Brazil is very advanced on banking and on payments and on finance, which I was not expecting. They have this app, which is their own. It's called Pix, and it's like a very advanced banking system which they can transfer money easily across, you know, all Brazilians. And the fun fact and the tip for the next time someone visits Brazil is that you need a specific number. It's a CAN Brazilian number that you can register for and get before your trip. And with that number, you can go into a banking system and then just register and get this account and get pics
Okay.
immediately. So
Is
you
this
can
a government? Is this a government service
no,
or is it a
I don't.
startup?
It's just it's a private company, I would say.
Okay.
At this scale, I wouldn't call it a startup, but yeah, it might have been
Okay. Okay.
one day. So yeah, Brazil is tech hub is kind of big, especially in the fintech industry. And the other interesting thing was that for us to get into a football match, which, of course, if you think of Brazil,
It's
you think of
huge there.
football immediately. It's huge that everyone is playing on the beach. The control that people have of the ball in Brazil, it's like you never see that anywhere else in the world. How much
Okay.
time people are spending from a very young age just playing with the ball, and you can see how that translates on their movements and their tricks and all that stuff. But we wanted to go and see one football match with my friend, and the club was Fluminense, which is like a Rio de Janeiro old and very well known club. The way for you to get your ticket and go in the stadium, they use biometrics. So on the application, you're scanning your face, and that's also what scans you for you to enter the stadium. It scans your face,
What?
that's how you go in the stadium. And the reason that is the case is because these people are so fanatic with their clubs. The supporters that they were just causing so much trouble on every game, and they were fighting and they were making illegal actions, let's say. So that's how they turned the system, and they say, okay, if you want to come to the stadium, you will show us like your face and you will deal with the consequences later. So that's
Is this a? Do you know if this is like in the hands of the government or if this was a decision by the club that runs this
no,
stadium?
this definitely goes through police if needed.
Okay.
That's what I would say. I don't
Okay.
know if the government is like tracking and getting all this data. Um,
No, but
but yeah,
like as a decision to set this up to make this the policy,
no,
was
this is
it
not a club only. This is for
okay?
every club. I think
Okay.
that's
Okay. Okay.
the case. And yeah,
Yeah.
that was
And
a
I find that stuff like that sometimes would have a harder time being implemented in. I mean, I don't know very much about Brazil, but like I feel like in the West this would get a lot of pushback because people will be like, "Oh, my privacy, my like I don't want to give you my picture, I don't want to give you my biometrics, all these things." And these are valid, these are like valid concerns, right? Because like when there's an entity that is collecting these things, there's also a lot of attention to that entity to be hacked, for these things to be stolen. And so I find that stuff like that would be hard to implement everywhere. But maybe in some countries they like, they say executive decision, this is happening, and people care more about watching the football than
the more I travel, the more I realize that Europeans have a lot of freedoms, a lot of freedom. And there are so many rules that have been shoved on the throats of so many people outside Europe, just because that's how it is. And maybe it's,
Mm.
how developed is a country, or how poor are the people of the country to, have this.
It's also cultural. Like there's some things are okay some places and they aren't okay in Europe, for example. Like Europe is very famous for whenever they don't like something, they'll get together, they'll start protesting, they'll start throwing potatoes and mud at the parliament and things like that, which is
This is not a
arguably for the
European only thing, though. This is not European only. Like protesting
correct.
government.
Correct. Protesting is very not a one culture thing, but like protesting over small stuff like that, or for over stuff like, no, I don't want to use my picture to uh, attend an event.
Right. But you can also find and have things in Brazil, especially in Rio. Like a friend of mine got robbed with a gunpoint in front of his face outside of his
Wow.
hostel. Or when you go to the favelas, half of the tour, you need to keep your cameras in your pockets and you cannot record what you're seeing. Which
Tell
again,
me,
it sounds more scary when you say stuff like that than being there. I never felt insecure, but I am not the casual traveler. There are girls in their 20s, early 20s that are traveling and backpacking Brazil. And I'm like, would I would I suggest and would I advise my daughter in her early 20s to go to Rio? Probably not.
okay, okay, okay. Tell
Probably.
me more about the favelas. Explain to someone that has never been to one what it is.
Okay, so favelas is like a self-governed community, basically, which originates from uh, people just around this community. The characteristics are the following: there is a high criminality rates, illegal
Okay.
stuff are happening there more than the rest of the city. People are more poor in these areas, and they are building their own houses and they are very self-governed. The good thing in the favela in Rio is that they are applying their own rules, which are very strict. And for example, you cannot talk less to a woman, you cannot disrespect a woman. And if you do that, there is going to be instant, direct
Consequences.
consequence for your actions, exactly, that everyone will see it and it would be very visible and doesn't take a lot
Okay.
of steps for judgment. Which at the other side, if it's not clear what you did is wrong or not, you might deal with it again. Plus, if you're not part of this community and you just end up walking there during the night, the chances of you getting robbed are,
Okay. I was kind
you're not
of
supposed to
picturing
go.
more.
Go ahead.
I was kind of picturing more like containers and tents, but it looks like it's proper buildings. But yeah, this is kind of what I was picturing as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's interesting that they have their own like policy and maybe law enforcement, if you could say. Yeah.
Now, what the government is doing, because it's not able to support this whole system, and they're supposed to, they are undercounting the number of people that are living in these areas. So they were telling us
Okay.
that in the Rio favela, which is the second biggest in the world, um, they have 300,000 people. While if you Google it, you will see that it says approximately 100,000, just
Mm,
so that they can budget less the
I
support
see.
these people. And can you guess how many schools they have for 300,000 people?
300,000 people. I'd say 400 schools.
They have 3 schools.
3 schools.
They have 3 schools, and they have
What?
some clinics. They don't have hospital. And the
Wow.
closest you live to the road, the more rich you are and the more expensive is the house. The furthest away from the main road, the more
Wow.
the house. So some people can do like a 20-minute walk.
How big are those schools
That's
though?
what people do today. In order to
How big
support
are
all these
those?
kids, you can imagine how big they are.
Wow. Wow.
We didn't visit one, but yeah.
Yeah. Very
Hey,
interesting.
let me say here that something that you don't think as a first thing when you hear that stuff. People are happy. People are having
Mm,
fun. People are enjoying themselves. People are not sad or miserable, or people are just Brazilians in particular. They have a very interesting character, and they are
okay.
very high ego, but not in a bad way. They're just made,
Confidence.
they're confident uh,
Okay.
people. But yeah, I would say that they're very fun to hang out and to get to know them, and do not to speak Spanish to them because that's the first
They don't
mistake.
like that.
They're like, they will understand Spanish, so you can communicate, but you
Okay.
assuming that they speak Spanish, they fucking hate it. So I had to learn this the hard
Okay.
way. And
What does
uh,
the hard way mean? How did you learn it?
I they didn't react
LL.
on me. They didn't.
Okay.
I had Ella give me the talk, and I was like, in the beginning, I did a bit. She told me, "You're not supposed to speak Spanish straight up," and I'm like, "What? That doesn't make sense." But if you think about it, because they understand, I will speak. They ended up not
Okay.
reacting to what I was saying, and they were very like giving me the looks. And then I realized that I have to ask first, and
Mm, yeah, that
I
kind of
needed
makes
something.
sense.
I would just ask if I can say it in Spanish so they can. But they're like, "Oh no, we speak Portuguese. You have to ask us and try to learn Portuguese." So that's what we did. We started
What
learning.
about did they speak English?
The more you go out of Rio, the less you find people speaking English. Not
Okay.
very, not very.
Okay.
I would say no, no. Language is kind of a barrier in Brazil outside of Rio.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because if you're saying you can't use English and you know Spanish, so you're thinking that the only language that you'd have in common is Spanish, kind of makes sense to
In
speak
the
Spanish.
beginning, bro, I took it for granted. I was like, okay, habla español, vamos. And they didn't like it. They didn't like
Yeah,
it.
but I can see how you just doing it directly kind of
It's
can
like
trigger or
someone
make them
coming to
defensive.
me, coming to Greece and started speaking Turkish and saying, well, Turkish.
Oh, it's like that.
Not to that extent, not to that extent,
Okay,
but
okay.
yeah, at least
Anyway, you learned your lesson.
I did learn my lesson.
You learned your lesson. All right, okay. I guess this is not a great segue, but I think it's time to go to some online craze. Are you ready?
Start.
I'm gonna start
I'm not
sharing.
no idea what you're gonna pull up, honestly, the past month.
Yeah, me neither. Can you see my
Oh
screen?
my days. Yep. Oh my god,
All right,
that's the
okay.
first thing I read today when I opened my eyes.
Dude, this is so I watched this whole video. This is kind of going viral, and I guess that's what they wanted. This used to be one of my favorite tools, cal.com. It used to be open source alternative to Calendly. They have a very generous open free plan. They're open source, but they also have like a cloud hosted version that you pay for, but they have a very generous free plan.
Parenthesis, Calendly valuation, 3 billion. Close parenthesis. Continue.
3 billion? No way.
Way. And I don't know how
Way.
yes, I don't know how, but
I know these guys are like 30 million or something like that. Maybe they've raised 30 million. I don't know the numbers for this company specifically. But what I do know is cal.com is part of a group that's called COSS, Commercial Open Source. And they were pushing very hard for open source projects that you still, you put all this effort, you charge for, but you open source them. And their argument for going closed source, and I just want to point out here that they haven't shut down their project that they currently had open source, or that they previously had open source and they closed source it. They say we're going to stop maintaining, or we're going to fork from now. We're going to leave the current open source to be as is, and we're going to continue developing cal.com closed source. Now, their reasoning for this is because large language models have been getting very, very good at reverse engineering and hacking, or finding loopholes in existing software. And people are very worried that the very first pieces of software that the labs are going to go for are open source software. So what these guys are claiming they're going to do is that they're going to essentially fork their own open source project. So make a copy of their own open source project and rework a lot of the sensitive stuff so that it isn't done the way that they had done publicly, so that the likes of Mythos from OpenAI, which is their not OpenAI, Anthropic, which is what Anthropic is claiming to be the most dangerous model out there that is finding bugs left, right, and center. So these guys are saying we're going to close source our product so that we protect our customers' data. What do you think about all of this craze?
I liked one comment someone made saying if you prove that and you say that you're secure, being open source at this day and age proves it. But personally, if I was managing this project or the decisions that I make for the software that I develop is like, yeah, let's start closed source, make sure it works and we're not leaking something very important. And since these tools are so good at this, it kind of makes sense to me. And it's pretty sad by starting the tweet saying open source is dead.
This is
Like,
just clickbait. This is definitely rage baiting. Open source
I
is
don't
dead.
think they wanna get viral for something like that, honestly, because this is like a bad marketing for them.
I think here's the
They
thing.
just
They're
have to
making a
give an
tweet that they're
explanation for why they are going closed source, and that should be a public explanation. Otherwise, you cannot wake up one day and just see cal.com being closed source. But
Yes, but the best way to do an announcement like that is to also use it as a marketing opportunity. Like, I knew the other co-founder of Cal.com. I didn't know this guy, and obviously he now went viral. Um, there's no way I can imagine a scenario where they wrote this tweet hoping that it doesn't go viral. Like, it has every trick in the virality textbook. Open up with this like controversial hook. 100% this is not an objective statement. You cannot say open source is dead. You just can't. I mean, he did it, but it's like it's a controversial, very inviting, attention grabbing statement. Well done. That's what they need. They needed to put as many eyeballs on their product as possible. Obviously, they also wanted to communicate to their customers that, hey, what you're worried about, our product being, they're paying customers, right? We're talking about now. What you're worried about, we're going to take care of that. We're going to fix that. We're going to make sure that no large language model like Mythos will be able to crack Cal.com if it ever gets in the hands of people that are willing to do things like that. Now, how much do you believe the whole notion of like Anthropic saying, we've got this model that's so strong that's been able to find bugs better than any human or any team of humans has ever been able to do?
how much I believe it, I cannot believe it unless I see it happening.
Okay.
And if that would happen, I think that the right approach is just to start doing research on how and what are
Mm.
the vulnerabilities and start like fixing stuff instead of just publishing it to everyone and chaos happens. So even if that's the case, I think that this is the right approach.
I
And
think that's just to clarify, what they're doing is they are not releasing this powerful model to the public. They're giving it to internal security researchers. They're going to all of these
a
projects
big tech,
and they're
basically.
notifying that too, but they're also notifying maintainers of open source project about the things that they're finding that could be exploited. So like Anthropic is playing, like the good like white hat hacker, and they're also giving it to big tech corporations, obviously charging them a lot to say, hey, we're going to give you a heads up, we're going to release this to the public at some point, but we are going to give this to you first so that you make sure you cover yourself.
Well, on the one side, you think that, yeah, well, at some point, open source will not be needed because you will be able to one shot any source and any cal.com you can imagine. But on the other side, you're giving the power and the keys to centralized organizations, to specific people that make specific decisions. And if they lock you out, you just are locked out. So are we willing to move towards this direction? Apparently, people saying yes. And the ones that have already developed the software, they are just
Yeah.
hiding and privatizing their source code. But apparently, this is happening right now. And
Yeah. Look, I don't know if it's. I think this is a very specific move, and I think that you can argue reason for this specific move, because indeed, if Anthropic has the model that they claim to have, and then indirectly has the um, resources to hire all these researchers and security experts to test out a bunch of different open source projects, they could very easily start to find these unexploited holes, right? Like, it's also, like the indirect like access that Anthropic will say, I'm going to hire all these cybersecurity experts, which Anthropic has the resources to do, which like a teenager that is, like vibe coding stuff wouldn't have the resources or the expertise to do. But if you like just give the model to anyone, Like I don't know how just like the average person that isn't an expert would be able to hack cal.com just because it's open source. Obviously, you need like this industry expertise as well.
And a reminder that models are very guardrailed, and the more advanced the model, the more effort there is in this model to just not do actions that are harmful. So there is also that. But yeah, not a teenager will hack like a major corp just by having access to the model, but it makes people that are already exploiting stuff more powerful. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And it also, this move also definitely just gives the paying customers ease and like reassurance that, hey, all the stuff that we're hearing about from Anthropic or all these other big labs, that they are going to impact us for using cal.com. And then speaking of guardrails, Ian, I saw this today. I saw that Google hired a philosopher to lead the preparation for machine consciousness,
Feeding
as
his
he
greed?
claimed.
Bro, how many views are they?
I
They're
don't
getting
think so.
so many views.
I think he's an Oxford guy. Yeah, Polymarket has become legit a very reliable source of news, and I like how concise they are. Boom! It's like just in this happened.
I've also seen their tweets that they're just posting what you can bet on in the platform, and it's exactly as a news thread.
Yeah, 9% chance an AI is criminally charged this year. This is also interesting because AI is like evolving so fast that the legislation or policy cannot keep up. Like, yeah, it's all like, building the ladder as you're climbing up. And it's very interesting to just see unfold. Do you think that like this brings up a very interesting conversation because there's a lot of AI hate right now, online and in real life. There's a lot of people that are protesting against data centers. There's a lot of people that are like, there's somebody who threw a Molotov cocktail at Sam Altman's house. There's all this like negative energy around AI. Why do you think people are scared? Why do you think people are protesting against AI? Is it because of the jobs thing? Are people scared that their jobs will be taken away? Why are you laughing? Let me come back to you in this one. I want to preface this by saying I have been once laid off because of AI, and it was a long time ago. I was working at this coding boot camp, and I was on holidays, but I hadn't turned off my phone, and I received this message that we're closing down the whole department because we had to choose: do we build an AI tutor or do we continue investing in the coding bootcamp? And they said the investors pressured them into choosing the AI tutor.
Which is the right
And
decision. You
I
don't
think
know.
so. Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Now,
It sucked at the moment, but like I moved on.
that's what you're supposed to do for everything in life. That's for sure. Uh, I think people are protesting and people are against because it's scary. And I can see how this is scary. And so many people out there. And I can see how people are getting rich and will still remain and still getting richer and richer and get and have more power over things, and others have less power. So if you think of it from that perspective, with this great power comes great responsibility to these humans, and I'm not sure we can trust anyone out there that right now has all this power, especially if you speak with people from the States, you will see that they they're talking about AI from a very different perspective, and they are on the two different edges of either completely hallucinating on how important that is and what are the capabilities, and on the other side,
Mm. Yeah, I think with just like with many things, I feel like it's one of those situations where the people that are claiming that it's the best thing ever are very far, like they're very far into that side of the spectrum, and the people that are very scared or thinking that it's going to be the end of the world, they're also on the very far side of on the other side of the spectrum. And I feel like the truth is somewhere in the middle, where it is like fundamentally different how we're going to be doing things going forward. There's a lot of like boring stuff that's going to be eliminated, and I think I'm genuinely excited for those to be gone. But there's also like the responsibility of, there's people that have been trained to do a job a certain way for 30 years. You cannot just say, hey, I am OpenAI, I can sell this big company a bot that will replace 50,000 people. Like there should be more layers to how you make decisions that impact people's lives, because this is going to have like trickle. It's going to like impact more than just these people losing their job. And I think the best thing that we can do as people who might lose jobs because of these like higher up decisions would be to like make sure that we're up to date, make sure that if I were to lose a job because of AI, I am trained to get a certain different type of job that requires a different skill set. Um,
being
yeah,
close
as
to the
long as
market,
there's like
see
open-mindedness. Yeah.
what the market needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you notice, the AI is coming from the white collar jobs. They're not going for the blue collar. Meaning, I had an argument recently, and I said I was in a Starbucks shop in Brazil, in a Starbucks coffee shop, and after that girl served me my coffee, I said to my friend, I hope at some point this job gets automated because she doesn't seem to be happy with what she's doing. And now, if you take this phrase and you misinterpret it, you can see how this is a double-edged sword. On the one side, my perspective was, I hope at some point this human does a job that unlocks all of the human capabilities and creativities and empowers her into
Yep. Yep.
doing something meaningful and that something that fulfills her, because I could see it in her eyes that it was like a robot not putting her head up, just doing things in
Yeah.
order and
Yeah. Yeah.
repetitive. On the other side, if someone hears that phrase without context, they would say, "Oh, you're trying to remove humans from the society and replace with robots." And are we ready to? First of all, AI is not even close to getting
Yeah.
anyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're trying to get all the
I,
coding jobs and all
I
the.
have two thoughts. I have
But
two thoughts on this.
how how you also see and perceive a phrase like that, which again, I'm not very well known for filtering my thoughts, but how you perceive a phrase like that, can have a double meaning or double,
Yeah.
different perspective.
Yeah. On the AI is not ready to do a job like that. That is definitely the case. I had coffee at the Austin airport that was made by a robot, and it was pretty disgusting. It was nice to see, and in fact, I've tried it 2 times. The first time it was okay. The second time it was very bad. But then, like on that specific situation, there's oftentimes people need a job as a stepping stone, right? It's obviously not their dream job, is not their passion, or maybe passion is a misleading thing. But like there's dead end jobs like that say Starbucks, or when you work at a franchise like that, where you're not even like, you don't even know the recipes of what you're serving. It's just, you're just doing the movements. And sometimes jobs like that are necessary as stepping stones, you know, to finish your studies, or to prep for another industry or things, or to get through some tough time. And we all sometimes need a job like that. The scary thing is that when you get stuck in a job like that for too long, and like when you should have taken the risk to leave a lot earlier. And yeah, it's definitely a privilege to like think about, oh, this job's not right for me. Let me start searching for another one, or let me look for another one. All right, I want to show you some other stuff. Maybe one or two more things, then we can end this.
I gave a sneak peek to your left sidebar tabs, and I'm super excited for what is coming up. But yeah, let's keep going.
All right, okay. I wanted to highlight, well, this guy in general, but also what he built. This is Farza, and he is very active lately. He's been posting a lot. He's been making YouTube videos, and he's just gotten into the latest YC batch. And what I like about Farza is that he's very, very authentic and very honest on his videos. So like, he was sharing how like he built this thing called Build Space, and it was like it was kind of like Founders Inc. And for those that don't know what that is, it's just like a building that a lot of people would just go and build like hardware focused projects or startups. Yeah. It literally says a place where people build cool shit. And that was very successful. It was all over Twitter. They were making very professional videos and things like that. But then he didn't feel like he was fulfilled or content, or didn't feel right for him. So he shut it down. And for years he was doing, he was making videos. He was talking about how he hasn't found his next thing. And now he seems to have found some momentum. And he's been building a lot of stuff. And he built this thing called Clicky, that went viral on Twitter. And basically what it does, it's a cursor companion that can tutor you and teach you stuff. So in his case, he's done a lot of teaching, so he knows a lot about education, and it basically can like help you do things in complicated software. Like for example, here he's got DaVinci, and he's like gonna get stuck with some color grading. So he asks it, and it like moves the cursor to tell him where to go, what to do. It's a little bit clunky and a little bit slow sometimes, but it does work. I tried it out, and then he open sourced it as well. So it is open source for those of you that want to have a look at the source code, or have Claude have a look at the source code. I have forked it and tried to do my own spin. And so see, it literally just shows you what you'd have to do and gives you some recommendations. I think it's a pretty clever use case of AI. Like, I think that is legitimately a useful tool, especially for people that, like, you know, like my mom isn't so comfortable with computers, and she always literally needs me to show her where to go, what to do, right click, and things like that. And so I keep like thinking that there is a whole big part of the population that's out there that would use things like that. They don't need to be power users, right?
I haven't tried Clicky yet. From what I know from past experience, talking with AI a lot, because I've done a lot of talking with AI. Unfortunately, AI is not yet there yet to assist in a real life, real time communication back and forth and stuff like that.
So this
And
one,
maybe this
I
should
wouldn't
happen.
say is like real time.
Yeah.
This one isn't necessarily real time. This one is like you trigger it with a shortcut. It takes a screenshot. It takes your voice command. It goes. It does take some time, and it comes back with just like pointing to where you should click.
Right.
So
Right. What makes it,
it
less real time. But yeah, I think that the humans are used to like faster interactions, and the AI is talking a lot while taking some more time than necessary. And this might be improved in the future. I can see how this will be improved from all the spins and all the tries that I have done with different software close to this. And if you see and notice the editing of this video, you can understand that things are not very smooth on this
mm,
case too. I think it's a great idea. I think that AI can be used for stuff like that and help people navigate across apps. But I also love apps that are hiding the complexity and they appear very simple. And these apps will not use this kind of use case. What I mean,
yeah.
why are people so obsessed with cloud code? And I was watching a video recently explaining this. It's because it's hiding all the complexities. It shows you that it's working, and it's just as simple as prompting it and asking it to do something. And that's how people are got hooked into it and how are using it. So I'm not, of course, After Effects or DaVinci or software like this is not there yet. But I think that we're heading there. I think that all the different UI that you see in your screen, here it's code, and this code can be written by a model that you can prompt it to do so, right? I more visualize a future where the interfaces are simpler and not harder. You have to learn them and learn how to use them. Where is the DaVinci MCP is my question. Well,
There is
how
a
can
DaVinci MCP, but it's third party. It's not official. But there is a DaVinci MCP. Yeah, but like I think there's definitely a generational arbitrage. Like there's still people that want to make videos. In fact, there's now people that have more time to make videos than before because they can do their other work much faster with Claude. Shout out to my little 3D printed Claude. Um, and so like I was thinking as well, like maybe I've always wanted to learn DaVinci, and maybe now it's a good time because maybe now I have the bandwidth. But yeah, I do see what you're saying. I
no, you
cannot.
don't
I would
have the
definitely.
bandwidth? Let's keep going. I was just here to friendly remind you.
Friendly reminding me. Okay. I would much rather though use a DaVinci through a prompt interface. So like just like literally say, show me a few color corrections, examples, and then like have me pick one. The same way Claude Code would like show you a few different, or ask you a few different questions before it decides to make the move. And maybe that's there's room for a product there.
Quick
All
question:
right.
how is this related to what he's building right now at YC? Or it's
He doesn't know what he's building yet, so he's just like trying a bunch of stuff, and this is
oh,
one of them.
so he got into YC without having an idea?
Correct. He got into YC just because of who he is, which is pretty impressive. And I don't know if this is true, but I saw somewhere that he went through YC with build space. So this is the second time going through YC. Actually, let's look that up. Uh, yeah, build space was a YC company. So this is the second time around. I
Oh,
think, Ian, that there's a lot of juice
dude,
on
I
this
should be
website.
spending more time on this website. Honestly, there is so much
And
here.
maybe we could spend some episodes on this website.
Next episode should be on this website. Yeah,
Tough company.
close the build space, remove the build space keyword.
I think this is the one. Yeah, this is the one company that is pre-approved for the next batch. But yeah, let's go all batches. What do you want to?
Is there like a
Interesting.
popularity sorting
There's
by
like the biggest
top
companies,
companies?
but I
Okay,
think it's like by market cap.
okay, makes sense.
showing, yeah, there are like about 90 companies. This is like the Indian Cash App, I think. I show equipment share. I saw that these guys went public recently. Yeah, there's a lot of juice here.
Okay.
One last
Final
thing I
topic.
want to
Let's
final
do it.
topic of the day. I do want to talk about this guy. Adil. I met this guy in San
I love
Francisco a few weeks ago, like a couple of months ago. And this man's has been
He's the
on
fucking goat.
fire.
That's what I have to say.
Yes,
Fucking goat.
he's got so much momentum behind him. He's on a good tailwind. He's trying out a bunch of stuff, and his latest is a physical magazine. I think that's pretty cool. He dropped the physical magazine at the Vercel HQ, and he's got design feedback from the Vercel founding designer.
Which are the
this guy.
design goats, basically, of Silicon Valley.
Exactly. Design goats about typography and spacing. That is pretty fun. The man has just he's hacked the algorithm. He's just been getting viral. Everything that he does is going viral. What did I want to say? Yes, so
the work he's putting behind it, it's like insane, right?
Yeah. And then for those that haven't seen, basically the thing that launched him, that has made him viral, is that he started making these monthly recaps in animated slash, I think this is a Rick and Morty style of animation, but maybe I'm wrong. But for me, it reminds me of Rick and Morty. And he makes these monthly, and now he's making them weekly. And basically everything that's in the tech that goes viral, that's in part of tech news, he makes into an anime. And this is just literally what we were talking about earlier. Farza's Clicky. I'm not sure if this is actually Farza, but anyway, sometimes the LLMs get crazy. Justin Trudeau and Katy Perry at Coachella. Yeah, this guy has also been getting viral, very, very viral. So yeah, good stuff. Balaji looks jacked and looks maxed.
When did Balaji say that everyone should be a CEO?
Everyone is a CEO. So Balaji did a recent podcast, maybe like a few days ago, 2 days ago, at A16Z podcast. And he's saying everyone is a CEO now because of AI. Everyone's got employees.
I see people on the video that we've met in real life, and that makes me.
That's right. This is actually very cool. So if we are to go through, yeah, exactly. So we've met this guy at the Network State Conference, Replit CEO. So that's one. We've met Farza on a Zoom call through the residency.
Yeah, right.
And we asked him questions and stuff. So we haven't met in person. I would love to meet him in person. I think he's a cool guy. No. Yes, we've met this guy. So 2. We haven't met any of these people. Did you see the Nutella thing that was in space?
I thought that was AI generated.
Apparently one of the astronauts just grabbed a Nutella bar on their way up to space, and it just
They're back on Earth right now, right?
Yep. They're back on Earth.
That's why YouTube is recommending me to watch the conspiracy theories of whether people were in the moon.
And
with
what do you
Apollo
think?
and Balaji. That's number 3, right?
Nice.
Okay, we should.
And Balaji.
And we should. First of all, we should end up in this at some point.
One day. And then what else did I want to show about this guy? I have met this guy in person at what he did.
I watched that.
The Tech Original Games. There I am. I had a lot of fun when I was there. I ended up helping him a little bit, and then ultimately I got one of those foam guns that he has, and I lost like very quickly, but I got to play the eliminator, which was a lot more fun than playing the actual game.
Insane. When I saw you there, bro, I was blazing. That was awesome.
Yeah, there's a few more episodes that haven't been out yet, but no, he's truly like inspiration for just like keep going, just find something that works and just like double down when it does work. And he does try like a lot of stuff. He's tried so many things.
But his thesis of you can make a lot of content out of what is happening today with tech and make it fun to watch and interesting. That's right on spot.
Yeah.
That's very to the point.
Bless you. I did tell him.
Thank
I
you.
did tell him. It sounds like he's found a content market fit because his videos like consistently just go viral, which is pretty cool. All right. So we are back. We're going to make it through 10 episodes, we promise. This was episode number 6 or 7?
I think 6, 7. I think it's
6,
should be
7.
7. Bro, the more this trend is becoming viral, the more I find myself just randomly and by accident mentioning these two numbers one after the other. And I don't know if it's a psychological thing or if this was happening before and I was not paying attention. But what the hell is that? People
So
like
you
small
know,
kids in favela in Brazil, they were doing the 6, 7.
they were 6, 7ing. Damn. Dude, you know what the company of Silicon Mania is called? The A67Z. A67Z. I mean, it is very creative. And his logo is literally like robot hands to go like this. That is very funny. You have to give it to him. He's creative. He's very creative.
He's very creative. He's so smart. Anyway, okay, let's wrap it up. We'll see you
Let's
guys on
do
the
it.
next episode. And peace.
Take care. Talk soon.